So, hey, black women, I was using Gemini, Google Gemini, right? And I asked Google Gemini, how would people of a country fight back against a president becoming basically a dictator? This is what Gemini had to say, right? It's not long, so I'm going to read the whole thing to you. It said, now remember, this is written by white people who programmed this AI, right? So you got to understand that the computer is not that damn smart. All it does is reiterate what it was programmed to do, providing the information that the program was created to give you based off of all the knowledge that was put into it. Okay, so it says, when citizens feel their government is prioritizing its own enrichment over the well-being of the population, particularly those living in poverty, several forms of resistance can emerge. There can range from peaceful, legal methods to more forceful actions, depending on the specific context and the level of oppression. Here are some of the key strategies. Peaceful and legal methods. Organized protests and demonstrations. Public gatherings can raise awareness, demonstrate the extent of public discontent, and pressure the government to address grievances. These actions are most effective when well organized and sustained. Civil disobedience, nonviolent refusal to comply with unjust laws or regulations. This can include boycotts, sit-ins, and other forms of peaceful resistance. Independent media and information dissemination. Establishing alternative news sources to counter government propaganda and provide accurate information. Utilizing social media and other digital platforms to spread awareness and mobilize support. Formation of civil society organizations, creating groups that advocate for the rights of the poor and marginalized, and that hold the government accountable. These organizations can provide essential services, educate the public, and lobby for policy changes. Legal challenges. Using the legal system to challenge unjust laws and government actions. This requires access to legal resources, which may be a challenge for impoverished populations. Voting and political participation. Participating in elections to support candidates who prioritize the needs of the poor. Organizing voter registration drives. Educating citizens about their rights. Community organizing and mutual aid. Creating strong community networks that provide support and resource to those in need. Mutual aid networks are when communities directly take care of each other, bypassing government systems. Factors that influence resistance. The level of government repression. More repressive governments may make peaceful resistance more difficult. The degree of unity among the population. A united population is more effective in changing the government. All right, what am I up to? I'm not finished yet. I just had to pull it up. Access to information and communication. The ability to share information and coordinate actions is crucial. Support from external actors, international organizations, and other countries can provide support to resistance movements. It's important to recognize that any form of resistance carries risk, and the specific strategies employed will depend on the unique circumstances of each situation. Now, we get that, right? But the reason I decided to ask this question is because I have said in other videos, right, that India also went through this type of democracy trying to change into dictatorship a few years ago. And what the people did there was they constantly resisted. They constantly voted against people like Trump and all his people who want to make it where the marginalized black groups and other people who are poor become poorer, more marginalized, and black people more oppressed, right? To the point where only rich white males have any power, have all the money, have all of the employment, have all the housing, and everything you need to survive, to the point where you basically have to beg them. And America goes back to the Gilded Age period, or the sharecropping phase, or even the period like right after all of the troops came back home from World War II. And it was like just basically a devastated country where it couldn't get its shit back together until they came up with the GI Bill and many other social services to try to help the soldiers and the families that were devastated from the war get themselves back together. So in saying all of this, I want y'all to understand, right, that the whole goal of Trump's administration and what these white people are doing in this country to try to boost and promote white supremacy is to make it where everybody who's not a rich white man is basically living hand to mouth. And they want to make it where we fight amongst each other and we actually live out the real life definition of divide and conquer, which is why they're always trying to promote and push to you, oh, we need to go back to traditional values. And why the Heritage Foundation decided that, oh, we're going to start talking about religion and single unit families and all this nonsense, because they know this shit doesn't work. But what it does is it breeds oppression and dysfunction to the point where government and rich white men in power are able to control the masses of poor people by controlling everything that you don't have and basically rationing shit out to you in life so that you have to be a good little pet and do what they say or you won't get anything and they will starve you to death. You understand what I'm saying? So when we have what is going on TikTok and social media with black women, once again, leading the charge, which is good, is to promote civil resistance, but consistent resistance, because it works like this. If the black women do not comply to this imaginary religious family unit where we start subscribing and complying to gender roles, where we have these dudes who are lording over us and head of the castle, where you can't eat unless they say it's okay for you to eat. Children get disciplined in the worst ways because they feel like what they say goes and is their way or the highway. If you buy into that shit, the things that Google Gemini was saying to you will become a reality. Like, if you are a marginalized group, you will begin to lose more rights. You see how they took away everything that they could from the LGBTs. They're trying to take away everything they can from black people. They haven't really been able to do all of that, thank God, because of federal judges who actually understand that if you did that, even though they would be able to cripple everybody in America, where we would be so poor we would be completely destitute, but the country would come to a grinding fucking halt. And it would be open to invasion and everything else because they don't think. The arrogance of the ignorant and wealthy is astounding. You know, rich people don't take care of rich people. And one thing history has always shown you about great empires or big imperialist places, they often fall because rich people begin to fight, bicker, challenge each other, and want to see whose dick is bigger, right? And then what happens is once they fall, the whole place falls, and then you have to start to build it all over again. So this is why people who actually have intelligence and who have been in the jobs that this administration is firing people from, right? They know. They can think long term and understand what is coming, right? So they're pushing back with the legal methods that I read about in the beginning of this video. But what I want black women to understand is, I need you to step up. And I'm not talking about rallying in the streets. Let other people do that, because if you haven't noticed, right, when you have the white people out there fighting for equality or whatever they're doing, and the Hispanics, whatever they're doing, the Asians and everybody else, do you notice how the police are being very nice and nobody's getting their heads cracked open and nobody's being arrested and thrown off buildings and ran over with cars and hit with fucking barriers? They're playing nice with these people. So let those people go and do all of the protesting in the streets, because it's about time they did their fair share of the work, right? But we, as black women, the way we step up the game is that we have to put our helmets on and get in the game by understanding that when you see all of these lives where you have black women trying to change the minds of other black women by promoting 4B, centering themselves, breaking out of that traditional wife role nonsense, believing that you need to have a man because of religion and patriarchy and misogyny in America. That is the brainwash, y'all. That's the brainwash. That is what Elon Musk bought Twitter for, to spend 2 years with the propaganda making everybody poor believe that one day you could be as rich as Elon, Trump, or whoever else if you just work hard enough. When we know that that is not the way capitalism works, right? We do know that, right? We do know that Elon made his money because his family's not from South Africa. They relocated there, right? But they made their money off of basically slavery in South Africa, with those kids working for them, the other African people working for them at like pennies a day under the most harsh and brutal conditions. You understand? Same thing with like Trump. This dude is not rich in the sense like you would think, oh, he's so great, he's so smart, he made himself rich. No, he inherited most of his money or got it got it on loan from his dad, because his father, who was an immigrant, took advantage of governmental contracts and programs to where he was allowed to become like a property slumlord and make lots of money with those opportunities the government gave him. And it was just like the government helped them, and then they, were able to be a little bit successful and pass money to each other. It's not like any of these people worked hard for what they got. You must understand that. And along the way with other people's stories, they used poor people who were intelligent to help them get where they are today. Even though they gave them a job, they used their intelligence, their ability to get shit done. Like when you think about the Asian man that created TikTok, he used to work for Zuckerberg first. Okay? There's a black African man that actually created the self-driving car for Elon. It's out there on Google. So, but anyway, to get to the point, all of these tricks and this cloak and dagger and all of this, like sleight of hand to make you think something is one way when it's really another, is how rich white people stay in power. They have to convince you through conservatism, through religion, through this nuclear family shit, that if you follow the rules and do the things they did, you'll be able to get where they're at, when they're lying to you the whole time. So it's important for black women to take the charge and not allow black people to fall into that slippery slope. Because once we fall in there, everybody else going to slide right down with us, okay? Because the people who are the most vulnerable in any society, how they live and how they're treated basically sets the tone for everybody else above them in the stratification of society, whether you understand that or not, right? So if we're at the lowest and there's nothing at all to take us up, we just keep going down further and further and further. There are no people above us to build off of the progress we have made, because we don't have none. And it continues like a domino effect, y'all. You got to understand that. The rich people know this, which is why they're trying to feed us a bunch of bullshit to give us the carrot dangling on the stick, so we keep chasing a dream that we're never going to get or never have come to life or be real, be tangible in any way. So when you hear these stupid black dudes on here talking about believing in all this alt-right white man incel shit, that's basically the foundation and the blueprint for white supremacy and patriarchy and capitalism, you have to move away from that. There's no amount of women who stay home, have babies all day, and allow men to be abusive and violent in households, because you know that is what happens. We have seen this throughout history time and time again, right? None of that, as much as they're pushing it, right, is ever going to make a poor man rich. And none of that is going to make a rich person, a rich white man, empathetic to poor people, or give a fuck about the conditions they live in, or fix the country, mold the government to benefit the poor man when they're reaping everything from everyone. Y'all got to start looking at this in a different light. Like, they're trying to brainwash you into thinking that if you try to be like them, you're going to get what they have, when none of that is true. You will never have what they have because of capitalism. Capitalism literally, even though it's not the definition, what it means is that a small percentage of the population of people anywhere has everything, and the rest of the people don't have anything. So if you want to go back to like W.E.B. Du Bois's example of the talented 10th, it would be like that in America. So 10% of the rich white man population would have everything, just like in the Gilded Age, right? Period. They would have everything. The Gilded Age is all those rich families that used to literally run and own America, and had nothing but monopolies throughout America. And that eventually had to be broken up, because it was like that damn book, what was Rich Man, Poor Man, and The Tale of Two Cities. Like, the rich motherfuckers over here and the extremely poor eating out of the trash people over here. It was really that bad. Okay, so, but anyway, this is what you got to understand. So the reason that they pump these dreams is because they understand they have been feeding to people forever this American dream. And there is no such thing as an American dream. This is not the land of give me your rich, you're tired, you're poor, you come here, you work hard, you get what you work for. That's never been the case in America. And the Statue of Liberty never represented that. The Statue of Liberty actually represented the slaves being emancipated from bondage. And if any of you ever took the time to actually read the history of how that statue came from France, and the big argument that, I forget the dude's name that sent it over here, but he literally fought with America to keep the shackles on the Statue of Liberty's feet, to show that her shackles were, the braces on the shackle were broken. And the reason they were broken on her feet was so that she was supposed to be walking into freedom. So everything they tell you in regards to America has always been a lie. And it has been a lie to keep white rich men rich, while everybody else who comes here is under the brainwashing guise of thinking that if I come to America, I work hard, I could be like a rich white man someday. And this is why they never believe that black people in America are oppressed or suppressed, because they have been taught lies forever, and taught lies about us too. But to get back to black women, right? We know this, and we have actually lived in this country longer than anybody coming here, and longer than the white people who took it over and colonized it, right? We know that the things that these white people promote to supposedly make America great again are literally nothing but ways to totally take away the rights and further marginalize people who are already marginalized. Take away civil rights, take away equal rights, take away discrimination rights, take away everything where there will be no barriers, no limits to people being abused and used. And if you think about it, it's kind of the reason why when Elon was part of that first ceremony, whatever speech he was giving, when Trump was in the first week and he gave that hit Nazi salute, that is what he was symbolizing to people who were like him. He was trying to symbolize to them, the more they get in control, right, the more they will be able to take away the rights of people, all groups in this country, so that people do not have anywhere to turn when they can't get a job, can't find a place to stay, can't pay their bills, can't buy food, can't take care of their old, sick, handicapped, or whatever else. That's what that symbol meant. Okay? So, but when black women, you do not comply, right? The whole thing is, the reason why India was never taken over with this nonsense is because the people had sense enough to stick together and not comply with what the government was trying to do. That's the key right there, y'all. As much as we like to fight and be anti-black and love differences in people and be non-white but want to be white and assimilate to whiteness, you have got to start looking at the people like Trump and Elon and all the rest of them as the enemy, and stick together regardless of what you look like, if you're poor, middle class, and not as rich as those guys, because that's the only way you're going to stick together, get angry enough, and fight against the things this country is trying to do to hold all the people back in it. Now, we've been having some great wins with the federal judges by stopping and pushing back against a lot of those executive orders that Trump is trying to put through. But there is going to come a time when that shit is not going to work, because we got 3 whole years to go. So when that doesn't work, that's when the people have to kick in. And the way the people kick in is you have to be on one page and be against all this fuck shit that they're doing. You got to be 100% against everything out of Project 2025. You can't be like these dumbass people that was on that town hall, or what is that shit called? The address that he had the other night, right? Where he's literally telling people that you're going to be homeless, you're going to be hungry, you might lose your job, you might not have money to take care of yourself. All these bad things he was talking about in that address, and you had stupid fucking white people clapping and saying yes to the things that he was telling them that was going to be, what is the word he said? Did he say difficult or hard? Some word he used to like explain to people that, yeah, it's going to be fucked up for you, but they're so dumb and they're so hooked on hating black people and other people, they are clapping for their own fucking demise. But you know what? Once people have to suffer long enough, they begin to see things differently. So they're going to be assholes for a while until they are like Hispanics, blacks, and everybody else, where they're losing their jobs. It's harder for them to buy shit. They don't have the money they're used to, and their life begins to fall apart. That's when you're going to see them begin to get angry. They're not angry enough yet, and they will not be clapping and cheering him on. Once the belt starts tightening for them, then they're going to get upset. But I keep jumping all over the place. Let me get back to the black women. So black women, your job is to understand that these white men know how stupid black males are, especially the ones who are ignorant, didn't graduate from school, don't have a whole lot of education, and they think like a barbarian. They think that because they have a dick, they're supposed to be able to have access to women, free sex, free labor, be able to lord over, control, dominate, and intimidate women and children, which is why they bought in and completely fell and been completely brainwashed by all this conservative talk that makes them feel like they have power in their home when they don't have power in society. So this is why you see all the lives talking about why black women have the worst attitudes, why black women think they're better than black men, why they won't settle for black men, or every stupid lie you can think of. Why black women, single mothers are the reason for every problem in the black community. They need to do this. They need to do this because somewhere in their minds, even though they have not accomplished shit in their life thus far, they really think that they have the ability to be like Elon, Trump, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, and all these other people who have actually come up backbiting off of other people, right? Because when we really look at all these people's histories and how they got to where they are, it wasn't like they was the smartest motherfucker in the room and they were just so ethical and they did the right thing. Nah, it was a lot of stealing, a lot of lying, and a lot of doing the wrong fucking thing. Let's be clear, right? And that's what most robber barons do, right? So anyway, we have to remember as black women, we have to throw away the indoctrination we have been taught from black people who have been psychologically affected from slavery, the indoctrination of religion, the oppression and punching down on us from America and the legacy of slavery, all that stuff that psychologically fucks with us, right? We have to understand that we can't allow that shit to stop us from understanding that the way we push back is to not step into those gender roles and to not allow these people to take over our bodies, the future of our children, and force us to be with black males who do not understand empathy for black women and children or give a fuck about us losing our rights and the rights to our bodies, and forcing us to live under laws that promote abortion bans, child marriages, and lowering the age of consent for pedophiles to fuck children. We cannot give in to that. If we do not give in to that, we start pulling together as women and separating ourselves from the very men that we are part of, right? The race we are part of. It will force them to either change and do the right thing, or they have to stand alone without us. And because they're so fucking codependent on black women, that's your saving grace. You have got to pull away from them for them to open up their eyes and open their minds and see. They're being hoodwinked. They're falling into the trap of the rich white man into believing that they can be like the rich white man, when that shit is never going to happen for them, because this country is not designed to do that. Capitalism is not designed to have everybody wealthy and barter with each other. That's not capitalism. That's socialism, okay? Capitalism is that small 10% of people having everything and that other 90% of people suffering insurmountably. So when black women are telling you, black women, get on board with other black women, this is not about hating black men. This is about recognizing that if you want to save your way of life and fight back against the fuck shit that's going on in this country, you have got to push back against everything white people are pushing out in this country currently. Conservatism, religion, Project 2025, and all the shit that's coming out of this administration from Trump's end forward. Which is why when these elections come up in 2026, get the fuck out to those polls and get rid of every Republican in your area. Put a Democrat in that seat to try to fix the numbers in this government so they could stop Trump the same way they stopped Obama. Do y'all hear me? And in 2028, you get out there again to vote for all the senators and all the rest of the people whose seats are up. And you get those Republicans out of those fucking seats to further push it away from it being a monopoly or a major control in the House, the Senate, and the fucking Supreme Court of Republicans. Do you understand? Every 2 years going forward from 26, right? Because that's when the next elections are going to be. You make sure you get out to every local election and make sure you do not let Republicans get in office, but you put Democrats in so we can reel this country back in. Do not sit on the couch thinking that this doesn't affect you. Just open your eyes. Read independent newspapers. Go state to every state website, and look at what is happening to the people. Go to the government websites. Look at the laws they're making. Look at the laws that are passed in each state to hurt women and little girls. And when you have your opportunity to vote and stop that shit, make sure you do it. Take 2 or 3 people with you to the polls to make sure you push back and pull this country back to democracy and the opportunity for everybody to be here, live, make money, and take care of their families, and not have to worry about deportation, being jailed in a private jail so that some white person can make money off of them, or sending them to another country so they could be jailed over there so that this country can make money off of them. Okay? Thank you.